and part 2 with a bit more lighting. So let's assume that you have everything I mentioned before, as in you have a minimal amount of desire to learn this and test it for yourself, or you have some friend with a lot of time on their hands who can do this for you and give you the results. If you have all that, you will also need a just stack of paper, random, normal, standard white copy paper, and a good black pen. Black is preferred because it doesn't have any color associations with it, so just go black. Or mechanical pencil that's really dark. I use that as well and it works. So before we start with how it works practically, we need to know a few things about the theory. Now, what we care about in remote viewing is the source of our data. The single source of our data will be our heads. There's no sensing in the usual sense like with the eyes or ears. It's just all coming from your own head. The problem is that in our heads, our minds are filled with stuff from various sources, both intuitive data, which is good and which we need, and also logical data, which is not so good and we don't need because it's usually wrong in remote viewing. Example, you get a target, you get a code, and you'll learn how to turn that into a session, what to do with it to start a session. And you start seeing that the target is yellow and sweet and long. And then that might be good data, it's intuitive. And if you do this and you let your mind just wander, pretty sure in a couple of seconds you'll figure, I know what's long and sweet and yellow, it's very likely a banana. And this is what actually happens in sessions. You get tiny bits of info which are correct, and then if you don't do your sessions properly, your logical mind turns those pieces of info into something else which is completely inaccurate. And these things compound over time. So you have, let's say, a session, a image. How to show you this? You have an image, and you take from down here. You take some data, and your logical mind tells you it's a banana. In real life, it's not, but you assume it is based on the fact that it's sweet and yellow and so forth. And you take another one from another part of the picture, and another one, and another one, and at some point you'll get a big idea about what these things could be together, like the logo for the, I don't know, like a banana plant or a banana farm or something like that, and that large result of a session will be way off because the error is compounded. So how do we deal with this? First of all, we call any sort of deduction like this analytical overlay. So on the real data that's intuitive and that's good, on top of that, sometimes we do get some ideas and assumptions and deductions which are not completely untrue or false. They may have some hints and clues about the nature of the target, but they must be very clearly delimited from the underlying real layer of data, the one below, the simple actual data. This is very important. So the way we do this on paper is we do the mojo that gives us the first impressions, the real data, and we write it on the paper. And if we get any ideas about it from that point on, we write it separately. We write AOL, analytical overlay, and we write what it is. For instance, it's like a banana but rounder or whatever, and the word like is a good hint that you're dealing with AOL. So we write the AOL down like this, and we draw a line, drop the pen, and then just give it a second or two. This is to show our minds that It's not a road we're going to go down. So associations and free associations and so on. Also, another general piece of advice: we have to move fast. The main weapon that we have against this sort of error showing up in our sessions is the fact that intuitive data happens instantly. So you think about something, you get instant data, like an instant gut feeling. And then it takes about 2, 3 or 4 seconds from situation to situation between the incoming intuitive data and the creation of AOL. So your imagination and logical mind needs those critical 2 or 3 or 4 seconds to create that erroneous data, which is AOL. This means that if we move fast enough through a session, we don't stop and pause and just look up and so on and so forth. We don't give imagination that amount of time that it needs to start doing its thing. So basic ideas would be: don't idle if you've done something. I'll show you exactly what you have to do, but if you've done it and there's nothing else happening, don't wait or go back or look above what you've written above 5 minutes ago. Just move on. Also, don't lift the pen off the paper too much, and don't do things and look up from the paper and so on. There's nothing to see up there, and if you know any just basic NLP, this will tell you that you're going into imagination and you're going into whatever. Remote viewing isn't so much about thinking and solving it like a math problem. It's like going in a room and looking around, and you don't need any time to figure out that the wall is yellow or that a pig is fluffy. It's just there instantly. You don't have to think too much how fluffy, and yeah. So move fast through your session, declare your AOLs and separate it from the regular data that you get. I'll show you how in a moment. And also, after declaring your AOL, you drop the pen on the paper, and I do this thing with my hand just to sort of reset. And then I reconnect with the actual data. Yeah, so far so good, 7 minutes 30. Let's talk a bit about stages. I said remote viewing is used for 2 different applications. One of them is gathering of data, and that has a more complex structure and longer sessions, and it might take from 45 minutes upwards, 2-3 hours, with some breaks, of course. And this I don't really know how to do, and it's not the object of this video. What we use is basically the first 2 stages of a complex session. So just the first part, that's all I know how to do, and so far I found that it's enough. Also, studies from the forums have, or answers from the forums have shown that for this application, for associative remote viewing, for making money with bets, shorter sessions are better. Actually, if you compare, they're better. Right, stopping this now and making the next video about stage 1.